Hello everybody. In this session we are going to discuss about cardiogenic shock. So previously we have discussed shock as in general as a whole, and in that session I mentioned that we will see some specific types of shock individually. So among them first is going to be the cardiogenic shock. So usually it is a 5 marks question. So let's start the topic. So first, what definition of shock? Definition of cardiogenic shock. What is cardiogenic shock? So cardiogenic shock is a life-threatening condition caused by failure of pumping action of heart, resulting in lowered cardiac output and inadequate tissue perfusion. So from the name cardiogenic, you can easily know that the shock is due to some insult to the heart. So this is the definition, that cardiogenic shock is a disorder caused by failure of pumping action of heart, that is insult this to the heart. And what it will cause if the pumping action fails of heart? The inadequate tissue perfusion in whole through the body as well as in the heart. Next, what can be the reasons? The etiology. First and the most common etiology is myocardial infarction or myocardial ischemia, which may cause LV failure or RV failure. It may cause ventricular septal rupture or rupture of papillary muscle or chordae tendinis, which will again cause regurgitation of valves. Will again cause systolic and diastolic dysfunctions. Next cause can be the rupture of ventricular free wall. Now if ventricular free wall ruptures, what will happen? The blood will come into the pericardial cavity and that will cause subacute cardiac tamponade. Next cause is the acute myocarditis. Next can be the congestive cardiomyopathy, post cardiac arrest or post cardiotomy. Next is refractory sustained tachyarrhythmia or bradyarrhythmias, severe valvular heart disease like aortic stenosis or mitral regurgitation or mitral stenosis, aortic regurgitation, etc. Next is aortic dissection with aortic insufficiency and tamponade. And next can be the toxic or metabolic causes like severe acidosis. Next we will see the pathophysiology of cardiogenic shock, that is the mechanism of development of cardiogenic shock. So for pathophysiology, this is the diagram of pathophysiology. In exam also you will write in this chart form, not as a description in a essay form. This is the more convenient way to write in the exam. So let's see. First is the reason, that is the commonest reason, that is myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction will cause myocardial ischemia and then the myocardial dysfunction. Now myocardial dysfunction can either be systolic or be diastolic. First we will see what happens in systolic dysfunction. In case of systolic dysfunction, what will happen? There will be reduced cardiac output because heart is not ejecting properly. So what will happen? The cardiac output will be reduced due to the reduced, and the stroke volume will be reduced. Both the causes, both the reduction in cardiac output and stroke volume in turn will reduce the systemic perfusion. Now what will happen if systemic perfusion goes down? The body will try to compensate it. How? Now there will be vasoconstriction, because the amount of blood that is ejected per beat is reduced. So to compensate that, the body will go under vasoconstriction, and this vasoconstriction again will cause progressive myocardial dysfunction. Again, reduced cardiac output and reduced stroke volume will cause reduced blood pressure, and reduced blood pressure means reduced coronary perfusion pressure. Again, this reduction in coronary perfusion pressure will in turn increase the ischemia. The ischemia was already there due to myocardial infarction. This myocardial infarction was causing systolic dysfunction, due to which coronary perfusion has gone down, and that caused again the ischemia. Again, the ischemia will cause progressive myocardial dysfunction and cell death. Now we will see what will happen in case of diastolic dysfunction. If there is diastolic dysfunction, that is heart, there will be increased left ventricular end diastolic pressure. That is, heart is not relaxing properly, so there will be left ventricular increase in left ventricular end diastolic pressure, and there will be pulmonary congestion and increased pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. Now this will also cause hypoxia, because if there is pulmonary congestion and increased PCWP, there will be hampered oxygenation in lungs, so there will be again hypoxia, which will again increase the ischemia, and ischemia will again lead to progressive myocardial dysfunction to cell death. Now in the whole this whole chart, what we are seeing, what we can see, that the cardiac ischemia, the myocardial ischemia is already there, which in turn again which itself increases its severity. So there will be a complex spiral, a complex downward spiral, which will lead to severe ischemia if this vicious cycle is not broken by the treatment measures, obviously. So this is all about the pathophysiology. Next, for treatment, next we will go to the management of patient. So for management, we will first have to diagnose the patient if he or she is in cardiogenic shock or not. So we will diagnose first with the clinical findings. So what will be the clinical findings? What are the clinical findings of cardiogenic shock? The first is the patient will have dyspnea, and the patient will appear pale, and the skin, the peripheries will be cold, the forehead, nose, lips, face will turn clammy, and the coldness then extends towards the trunk. So there will be dyspnea, and then the peripheries will be cold. Next, there will be severe hypotension with systolic BP less than 90 mm of mercury, or mean arterial pressure less than 55 mm of mercury. So next we will see for the pulse. So pulse is typically weak or rapid due to the compensatory mechanism. Pulse is usually weak and rapid, or there may be also severe bradycardia if the cause of cardiogenic shock is high grade heart block. Next, there will be oliguria. Obviously, there is reduced systemic perfusion, so there will be oliguria, and urine output less than 25 ml per kg. 25 ml per hour. Next, there will be impaired cerebration. First, there will be anxiety, restlessness, and which will lead to later obtundation. Obtundation means reduced level of consciousness. So next, there will be tachypnea, Kain-Stokes respiration. That means there will be some apneas, and with that there will be distension of jugular venous pulsation, or there will be jugular venous distension. Next, there is typically weak apical pulse with soft S1 and S3, and there also may be gallop sound present. In case of acute severe MR and ventricular septal rupture. They are usually associated with their characteristic systolic murmur. Rales may also be audible in most patients with LV failure. So these are the heart sounds. Next is the diagnostic test. What test we will do? So very first, to diagnose the myocardial ischemia, the easiest tool we have is the ECG. In ECG, what we can see now, Q wave in case of old ischemia, or if recent ischemia or the acute ischemia, there will be ST elevation or depression. There also may be left bundle branch block. Next, we will do the echocardiography for more in-depth view or in-depth analysis, and we will do the chest X-ray. Next is the ABG. Now in ABG, what will be the findings? We can see that there is systemic hypoperfusion. So obviously there will be acidosis in ABG. In later part, so during the management of the patient, we can also do pulmonary catheterization to know the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. Next is the management and next is the monitoring of the patient. So again, we will monitor the ECG, BP, heart rate, all the basic monitorings, and with that we will do ABG, electrolytes, and we will see the serum lactates. Next, the most important thing, the treatment of the patient. First, we will try to improve the oxygenation, either with oxygen mask, or if there is severe hypoxia, we will use the mechanical ventilation. In case of cardiogenic shock, there is usually volume overload, so usually volume is not given, fluid is not given. In case of if the cardiogenic shock is due to the, in case of right ventricular dysfunction, fluid can be given, or otherwise fluid is usually restricted in case of cardiogenic shock. Next, we will use the inotrops and vasopressors. For inotrops and vasopressor, dobutamine is the drug of choice. We can also give dopamine and noradrenaline. Next, we will correct the acid-base balance, that is the acidosis which is present. We will try to correct the acidosis with bicarbonate and correction of electrolytes. Then we will try to reduce the volume overload by diuresis, by use of diuretics. We will use IV infusion. And next, if all this medical therapy cannot suffice, then we use the mechanical support, which is IABP, that is intra-aortic balloon pump. This is a very much useful tool in treating cardiogenic shock. So what is IABP? IABP, that we will discuss in some other video. This is mainly operated by the perfusionist. So for perfusionist point of view, this is very important. So we will discuss it in some other video. Next is revascularization. So after stabilizing of the patient, obviously when the patient is in cardiogenic shock, we cannot operate or we cannot do any intervention. So we also cannot use thrombolytics because the perfusion, systemic perfusion and coronary perfusion is reduced. So the thrombolytic therapy will not be very much useful. So after the patient is stabilized, then we will try to revascularize the patient to treat the myocardial infarction either by surgery or coronary interventions in cath lab. So this is all about cardiogenic shock. More other types of shock More other type of shock and their description are also coming very soon. So stay tuned. This is all for this session. So thank you, goodbye, and stay happy.